self-explanatory. People power, our power. But how did you come up with that to say, okay, I'm gonna represent people power? How did that come about?
Yeah, when I was still campaigning in Chadondo East, I was arrested on the last day of campaign, and people wanted to riot. I told them not to riot. The police and the entire regime machinery had descended on us. They wanted to intimidate me and intimidate the people. Without even thinking, I told them, guys, always remember that people power is stronger than people in power. And then people are like, yeah, it is our power. So they started chatting people power. But it didn't go down in my mind yet. So after the Chadondo, experience, I started getting in touch with a few friends. There's this lecturer of mine, that is when I had already enrolled in law school, and he was teaching us constitutional law. He became my friend. So we discussed stuff, and him, and then my friends like Joel Senyonyi, my friends like Roy Semboga, my friends like Nubian Lee, my brother Nyanzi, and a few other friends who I'm not sure you know about. You know, we got together and say, guys, we are young people, and this is our country. And by now we know that we cannot pretend anymore that it is okay. What do? We decided to form a small study group which built into a movement. And one day when we had a retreat, we agreed that we had to give this group a name. A name, yes. And we agreed that we call this group People Power, Our Power. The rest is history. It's one of the most viral movements in the world, honestly. And like I told you, I believe you were put on Time magazine for a reason. There's a reason why that was, because this movement is so viral that people who are chanting people power, white people chanting people power, white people saying Bobi Wine, and I'm like, what is going on? But anyways, let me lighten up a little bit. How is the family doing? Because you know what, whatever you're going through or whatever you're doing right now has to be very heavy upon your family. How are you handling this and your family at the same time? And you know, well, I salute my family. I salute my wife with both hands. She's a very strong woman. She has put up with a lot of, I don't know, so much. My children, my 2 little girls and 2 little boys. Well, Solomon is no little boy anymore. But these, my children and my wife, my little family has put up with a lot. But not just my nuclear family, the entire family, my fire-based family, is closest to my heart. They lost everything. They lost a livelihood when I got into politics, struggle. I don't want to call it politics. Struggle. I'd rather call it leadership. So when I got into formal leadership, of course, that is when the regime clamped down on our sources of income. That is when our shows were abolished. That's when our music was restricted on radio and TV stations. That is when they started going for their families, etc, etc. So these, my friends, these my people have put up with a lot in this struggle, and I'm sure I wouldn't be as steadfast as I am if they had relented. So I want to salute them. I want to salute my family. I always try to explain to my children and borrow the words of the great Mandela. Like when my little girl Subi holds me and cries and doesn't want me to leave home. When my little girl Shalom says, but Tata, you keep going and leave we, your children, alone, I tell them, yo, I have millions of children out there. They are my children too. They need me, and I have to give a little bit of myself to them, because it is those children's parents that ensured that your father puts on a nice suit, that your father is known, that your father can put a decent roof on your heads. Because there's so many people say so many different things, and I'm wondering, I'm like, look, this person has a family, has kids, You know, so that's what I'm saying. It's so selfless of you, because when you think about the safety of your children, the safety of your wife, of course, even your friends who have, you know, been with you up to this, you know, it's very selfless of you to be like, look, I have other children out there.
Robin.
So, you know, God bless you for that.
Thank you.
Now, first of all, sorry about your friend who was shot in Arua, in the car. And I don't want to revisit that. However, I want to, you know, I want to send my I would say sincere sorry and condolences on behalf of us, I guess, my team, because that was something that kept me and my mother awake. Like literally, when you were out there, it's like everyone was like, oh my God, is he gonna come back alive? My mom will call me at 3 in the morning, like, oh, I don't know, is he okay? I spent the whole, my mom died, and she was praying for you every day. She would wake up and pray for you at 3 a.m. every day. So when I tell you that this struggle is real, this struggle is real. It is real. Yes, and we're going there. So kudos to you, man. Kudos to you, man.
Thank
so
you.
I don't want to go through that whole, because it's traumatic, and I don't.
Yeah, but I mean, we try to live with it. And while we salute my brother and friend Yasin Kauma, who took the bullet that was meant for me.
Meant for you, yes.
Yeah, many other people have been brutally murdered by the Museveni regime. Rita Nabukenya, a beautiful young lady, left 2 cute little daughters. She was run over by the police and killed. Yes, Hakim Sekama, he was murdered as I watched with my 2 eyes, with the police patrol car, number UP2525. I remember it vividly.
Wow.
You know, just a few weeks ago, Mutiabule Charles was killed by the same security forces that we pay to guard us. You know, Daniel Chene was murdered recently as we were coming back from laying Rita to rest. So many young men and women have been killed. Many people have paid the ultimate price. Many have been brutalized, even without our knowledge. These are the few lucky ones that catch media attention. But you know, many other people have been suffering. Some have disappeared, never to be seen again. Chibalama John Bosco has disappeared, never to be seen again. You know, Ziggy Wine, my fellow artist,
lost his life.
Yeah, he was abducted, tortured, his eye plugged out and killed. So much has happened, but should it make it sad? Should it make us sad? No. It strengthens our resolve, because this has been happening, this is happening, and this will continue to happen if we don't do nothing about it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So that's what gives you the energy to really push on and keep going with this.
Yeah, because ain't no way out until we create a way out.
Amazing. So now let's move on to past. We're talking about, I want to talk about reforms, because personally, I know what a lot of people are thinking, and they're thinking about how is this man really going to change our country, you know, and a lot of people just don't know, because they're just like, they see Bobi Wine, whatever, they say whatever they say, we all know what they say. However, like there's a, like you say, this is all because of purpose. You didn't lose Bobi Wine, but everything you're doing is because of purpose. So I want to talk about some of the reforms that we need in this country. For example, children out here, the children rights. There's so many things that I feel like need to be established that are already not in place. So not everything, because there's so much. It's wide, but as you, what is your biggest concern when it comes to systems reform? What is at the heart, at the core of your heart, when it comes to that?
I'll say that our country needs an entire system overhaul. Yeah, it would take us more than a day to pick in different sectors what's wrong, but I'll round it and say our problem is governance. Our problem is leadership. So to make it brief, it is servant leadership, people-centered leadership. You know, a leadership that is
for the people, like
submissive to the people, you know,
yes.
servant leadership, where leaders are true servants of the people and the people are the bosses. But when we achieve that, because we'll achieve that the day I win as president of this country. But again, what are the first things that we look at as a ghetto child? And I know when you fix the lives of the common people, you will have fixed substantially the lives of the country,
yes.
men and women. So we always put up this fist, not just to show defiance, not just to show that power belongs to the people, but these 5 fingers, each of them stands for something. And these are things I look at.
Okay.
So besides the radical changes of abolishing unfair taxes and unfair laws, first and foremost, number 1 on our agenda is fixing governance, the rule of law and respect for human rights. You realize that today in Uganda there's no respect to the rule of law.
Right.
The president can justify the murder of somebody. The president can justify brutalizing. The president can justify, you know, any atrocity, but not just the president. Anybody that's near the president.
Right.
I mean, you've seen it, and you continue to see the human rights abuses, you continue to see the lawlessness. So that's our first agenda, is to subject everybody to the law. Exactly. Nobody will be untouchable when I'm president. There will be no more order from above. There will be no more I'm so-and-so son and daughter. No, everybody will have their 100% right.
No one is above the law.
Will be respected. Everybody will be a human being. Number 2, we want to fix our healthcare system. Man, you know how many women we lose every day giving birth.
Right.
More than 19. Children, statistics from the Ministry of Health show that more than 300 children under the age of 5 die in Uganda daily.
Yes.
Yesterday, today, and continuous until I become president.
Right. And just while you're on that point of healthcare, the reason why my mother died is because she came here on vacation, and she had one of her arteries burst, and she started getting internal bleed. However, it could have been fixed had we had a specialist to do that operation. So when the problem happened and she was in a hospital, some of the best hospitals, they were like, we only have 2 specialists in the country, and they're not in the country. So my mom bled and died.
Yeah, and that sadly happens.
Yeah.
Now
that's just proof to show that actually it even goes home too.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Just imagine what's happening to the people in Kaberamaido, people in Gomba, people in Chiriandongo. It happens like that. So we want to fix that. It was agreed in the Abuja Declaration, where we had delegates, that every government in Africa here, to fix, at least those that attended, to fix their healthcare system, they had to at least up their budget to only 15%, so that, you know, because ultimately it's the budget. Here in Uganda, you see what used to be Doctors Village is now CMI. You know, we used to study wanting to be doctors. Now nobody wants to be a doctor. Point number 3 that we want to deal with is our education sector. Man, I don't like our education sector. I don't like our colonial education sector that believes in fluent English, other than ideas. We have very fluently speaking university graduates that cannot even produce a loaf of bread. You get what I mean? Right. So me, when I'm president, I will enforce a skill-oriented education system. You're going to see that when I'm president, I will major on 3 A's. The first A in school will be academics, the second A will be athletics, the third A will be arts, and these are going to be given equal budget and equal, you know, emphasis. Right. Why not all of us are going to be superstars at mathematics? Right. You know, personally, I was not the best at mathematics, but there's some things that I was perfect at, you know. So in that education system, we're not going to force our children to be what they were not talented to be.
Exactly.
We will produce engineers, we will produce doctors, but we shall produce athletes as well. Because this, our country, has been most lifted up by sportsmen and women.
Exactly.
To protect etc. How about if these children were nurtured right from school?
Yeah.
If we had put the right facilities together today, all of playing fields of schools are being sold off to build malls.
Exactly.
I don't believe in that.
Right.
I think we can do much better than that. So want to focus on academics, want to focus on athletics and the arts as well. Just imagine.
Yes, that arts.
Just imagine. I was nurtured as a talented artist right from primary school, right from kindergarten.
Right.
You will have talented artists that are taught how to market their music, how to deal with pre-career times, during their career and post-career times.
Exactly.
You will not find talented artists or athletes turning into beggars. You're not going to find ignorant artists. I'm lucky that I became a reasonable artist because I got opportunity to study the details of my art at Makerere University.
Right.
But this I should have studied much earlier. Why did I waste time with chemistry? Why did I waste time with physics? etc. So our education system has to be balanced to produce people that are going to make sense in our country. And yes, I must say that the skills must be tested at every level.
Right.
By the time a child leaves P7, they must have a certain level of theory and yes, a very substantial level of practical.
Yes,
I mean, we left senior 6, but we were always broke. These guys are stopped in P7 and went to Gold Technical. They could build,
they know how to do things.
They could make bricks. They could make tables and chairs. They were more useful citizens to our society than us.
Right.
I can talk about our education system for the whole day, but
yeah. So while we're still on the
finally,
arts, yes,
yes. Sorry.
Yeah, while we're still on the arts, because I didn't want to jump that before. I didn't want to leave it on the arts. There's a new things that have come up from the government, new guidelines that artists have to go through as far as if they have to produce music videos, if you have to do a movie, you know, you gotta go to UCC or you gotta pay certain money. You know, what do you think about that? Like how, because our artists are like literally, I feel like they're literally sitting there and saying nothing.
Yeah, that's nonsense, I must say. Those so-called regulations are nonsense. You see, this Museveni government is too scared and they don't know how to handle panic. Now they are attacking the music industry because the music industry produced Bobi Wine. And they're trying to make sure that no other artist comes out to be like Bobi Wine. They want to make sure that the industry does not produce another Bobi Wine, even if it means killing it. Exactly. You know, that's why they're trying to gag the artists, to control them. They tried to buy them, they couldn't handle. They tried intimidating them, they couldn't handle. Now they're trying to bring these silly regulations. Apparently, before you record a song, you must take your lyrics to the minister, and your minister will
read through the lyrics,
whether they like it or not. What kind of nonsense is that? Of course, we rejected that. I continue to call upon artists to reject that nonsense. It does not represent us. Creativity is a human right. We are not going to listen to that Musevenism. You know, those are the things that Idi Amin used to do right before he fell. Byron Kawadwa was killed. The great Christopher Sewaduka had to be exiled. Had to go to exile. Jimmy Katumba had to go to exile. Right. So Museveni is not the first person to do this. That, yes. Only that. Me, I won't go to exile. And I won't shut up. I'll tell him straight in his face.
Continue saying. And also, we have a lot of young people because, again, here in Uganda, the arts is not a field that is influenced by our parents or from the bottom. Like you said, had your parents or had you known that this needs to start at a young age, because my mom used to say the same thing too. She's like, if I knew that you could start acting from the minute you were little, I think you'll be in Hollywood by now.
Yeah.
So now, what message would you give out there to the people, the young people who want to join the arts, and and the parents who maybe don't support or who support? What is the message? Because I think this is very important, because the arts itself is one of the biggest industries that make economies.
Nigeria,
blossom, yes.
Nigeria, art, the entertainment industry used to be number 2 provider on the GDP. Guess what? It is number 1 now.
Wow.
And oil comes as number 2. So that alone should remind us that art is an asset. Of course, to the parents, to the young people out there, don't give up on your talents. It's very, very important that you respect them, that you uplift them, of course with discipline and good work, because talent is one thing, but training is another. That's why we seek to have training, the best training for our artists. And how best to do that? Governance, leadership. You know, if we don't have a leadership that seeks to uplift people, if we don't have a leadership that seeks to, to uplift the arts, they're not going to be uplifted.
Exactly.
I mean, if our leadership wanted to uplift arts, they wouldn't be gagging artists. They would be promoting creativity. But now they only want to use artists as their propagandists,
right?
You know, trying to create division amongst the artists.
Divide and rule.
Look at divide and rule. Thank you very much. Yeah, I did not talk about.
You were going to the 5. Number 4.
Yeah,
from
I was
education.
going to number 5. Number 5 is national unity and reconciliation. You see, Robin, we live in a very deeply divided country, divided along tribal lines, divided along religious lines, divided along, class. Sadly, the poor versus the rich, the haves versus the have-nots.
Yes.
And that has created so much animosity. And we need to heal our country, or it will explode, and these guys won't be able to do a thing about it.
Facts.
So we want to reunite our country by creating an atmosphere that is just, where there will be equality, where the Uganda that we'll be living in will be working for everybody. We will have equal opportunity for everybody, no matter the tribe, no matter religion, no matter the gender. Everybody must have equality. That way, I believe that we will have taken a very, big step into the right direction.
Facts. Yeah, unity is such key, because that's the whole reason why right now everyone can't decide. A lot of people are like, oh, I'm not into politics. Oh, I just sit there and watch. Because it's been this brainwashing of, I don't even think it's brainwashing. I think it's ignorance. Because for somebody to say, I don't care about politics, I feel like they don't care about themselves.
They don't care about themselves. They don't care about where they live. In fact, they don't live their existing. You see, everybody dies, but not everybody lives.
Exactly.
Some people just exist.
Yes.
Yeah.
Right. So now, Rasta, I know you said you didn't change it at all. You still Bobi Wine,
Yeah, man.
So Rasta, when you're out there, listening to music or whatever, because this is an entertainment show, so I really want to know, who, apart from you now, who else do you listen to anymore? Like, what music do you listen to? Me, but we covered nothing, like where you sit there and you're like,
yeah. Boys and girls do music these days. Of course, I listen to the legendary artists. There's some music that never grows old. Bob Marley, Fela Kuti, etc. But I listen to new music. I listen to rappers. I listen to Jim Nola MC. I listen to Dax Vibes. I listen to 6 Inch Kumi. I listen to Nubian Lee's music. I listen to Kabako. I listen to all music that represents people.
That represent, okay.
I listen to it, you know.
Right.
And of course, I listen to those revolutionary songs that were sung by the soldiers in the 80s. Chibonge Janini. Yeah, my favorite song is, it goes like,
that was a Chaka Chaka song. I remember we used to sing that.
Chino chechisera chetulino kulwana mubisere by'omaso tufune emirembe. So I listened to Sergeant Chifulugunyu, who was an NRA fighter and later a UPDF officer. Unfortunately, he died miserable and sad. He was pushed on a wheelbarrow to hospital and was not attended to, and he died. Like many other you know, formidable soldiers that were forgotten. So I listen to that music. It gives me the confidence and energy to push on.
It inspires you.
Yes.
All right. Now, finally, what message would you give to all your supporters? Because for me, I feel like this is a very important time in history, and a lot of people need to know.
Those supporters out there, you are not my supporters. You are supporters of the truth. And I know that if I changed my word and diverted from the truth, in less than an hour, you would not be supporting me anymore. So you're not supporting me, you're supporting what I stand for. And support anybody and everybody that stands for the same. Because this is not about me, it's about all of us, especially we as a generation. We have a duty. There's this guy called Franz Fanon, one time said, every generation must identify its mission and then fulfill it or betray it. We know our mission, at least as a generation, is to free our country, to make it better and worthy for our children and our children's children. So let's do, each one of us, what we can do. Let's respect everybody. Let's understand that everybody has a right. Let's understand that we have no other home. Here, Uganda is our home. This is where we are born, and when we die, this is exactly where we're going to be buried. So, be positive. Love your country. Don't be intimidated by these dictators, because you have seen through history that dictators come and dictators go. We've seen Mussolini, we've seen Mugabe, we've seen Gaddafi, we've seen Omar el-Bashir. Many, we've seen Idi Amin, we've seen Museveni, we've seen Slobodan Milosevic. But they all have gone. That means even this, our dictator, will go too. But when he goes, we are still going to be here as a nation. Do not mistreat anybody just because they are different from you. Let each one of us play our part to build this, our country, to build a Uganda that we can be proud of. So stay positive. As for me, I'm always motivated by the kind comments, by the motivation, by the encouragement that we get from you out there. But it's not about us. Wherever you are, you can make a difference. You don't have to be Bobi Wine. Do what you can and do all you can. What you cannot do, leave it to those that can do it. But do what you can and do all that you can. I thank you.
Well, guys, there you had it from the one and only Honorable Robert Kyagulanyi. I hope he answered all your questions. Here at Kisty's Lounge, we will thank you for watching us. Until next time, have a good night.